My dreams came true where I've been asking for Speed Champions to do a DeLorean for so many years. This Back to the Future set releases January 1st, 2026 for $28 in the United States with 357 pieces, which is a great price per piece ratio. This also includes 2 minifigures. This was sent to me early by LEGO to review, but all opinions are my own. Now, this is not the first LEGO Back to the Future minifigure scale DeLorean, as one came out for the LEGO Cuso line, which is ideas nowadays, back in 2013. This is mostly an improvement, though there are some downsides here and there we'll get to. Now, this has the option to be rebuilt from the Back to the Future 2 DeLorean that goes to the future, the one that hovers, to the Back to the Future 1 DeLorean, which is a pretty simple process. You just got to replace some parts where you have to swap out the wheels, the nuclear reactor part, and the license plate, as well as taking out the lightning rod. I was surprised that this has one of the smallest sticker sheets for a LEGO Speed Champion set. There's not many stickers, and a lot of things I thought were stickers are actually prints. So for a close look at the DeLorean build, we'll use the 1985 version. The biggest improvement to me is the front hood. The design of that 2013 DeLorean had a terrible front hood design where it had the use of tiles at different levels, which made it look incredibly blocky. This time it's mostly smooth, where we have a 4x4 tile, and the raking of the vehicle, how the back of the vehicle has a higher height, I guess you could say, than the front of the vehicle in its placements of the wheels, gives it the illusion that it's a slanted hood. It's not as slanted as, say, the movie, but it works just enough. I don't like how there's some studs at the front here. That does look awkward to me. I do think this front of the vehicle is perfect, where we have a new 1x3 cheese slope. Can't wait to see that used in more sets, which uses a sticker. Sure, could be better as a print, but it fits perfectly for the design of that sticker, DMC. But what I love about this are the headlights. They have such an interesting print here for a panel that goes within one of those frame pieces. It's a studs on top technique where you have the bottom half of that panel covered. It works very smoothly, and that's just something that you could probably use as part of, say, windows that are shuttered in for a house or something. I can't wait to see mock builders get their hands on that. Now we have more of that Flux band design, which again, I thought these would all be stickers, but no, those are prints, and it makes sense since we really get 3 variants of the Flux band. These are the 1x2 variants, and these are the 1x2 sloped piece variants. The printing on there is fantastic. I like the silver shine going on there. Actually, sorry, there's 4 variants because there's also the 1x1 Flux band. The last one of them would be this corner tile piece. But that 1x1 was something I was worried would be a sticker that would be a pain in the butt to put on since, you know, it's such a small tile. That's present on both sides of the vehicle. I also quite like the use of what I call the LEGO Cars 3 spoiler piece in black for that under part. I guess you could say it's the shield of the car. That works really well and is just all the more detail for this lovely vehicle. Now for the sides of the vehicle, my favorite part would be this flex band, which they really emphasize on the flex of this piece because this is stretched from this back section attached to what I call 1x1 stamp piece in red. And then it goes all the way to the side of the vehicle, underneath the vehicle where it's positioned with a 1x2 modified hinge piece. You can see it connect throughout the middle section there. And then once again, it goes to the top part near the hood where we have a 1x1 clip piece fitting it in place. And then finally, there's another stamp piece in dark gray this time that has the other end of that flex band. That is such a lovely connection for this piece that I actually find quite impressive. It was a little bit hard to put that on, but when it was put on, it looks very authentic to the movie. However, at the side of this vehicle, I'm reminded of one of my biggest problems with this set, but it's kind of a conundrum. There's no gull wing doors to the DeLorean, which is probably the most iconic part about the design of the DeLorean. The conundrum being, well, LEGO Speed Champions never has doors that open. However, the 2013 LEGO Ideas Back to the Future Time Machine DeLorean had gold wing doors. They managed to fit it into that set that, as I said, it is a lot more archaic in design than this set. So that is one leg up that that classic set has over this one. These are just fixed in place and you can't open the side doors in any way. Anyways, I like how they built the mirrors right here. They're in line with other LEGO mirror designs for Speed Champions where they use, as I call it, pizza slice tile. And that's just attached with one of those modified 1x1 plates that also has a stud to the side right here. We also have some very lovely printed hubcaps, which are 2x2 tiles. It's the same design for all four of those tires, but hey, that works really well, and that's something that you could use outside of this DeLorean setting. If you look closely, there's actually two stickers which are present on both sides of the vehicle, which is this black lining over gray. And if you look really closely, you'll notice that that gray does not match the gray that they use for the bricks of this set. And that's pretty frustrating. It's a nitpick though, because it's not the most noticeable defect out there, but it still is very annoying. The design for this one is present on a 2x6 tile. And then the other sticker is this corner part right here, which is present on a modified 1x2, I guess you could say tile, but it's one of those sloped ones where we have a triangular cut in that corner right there. However, there is an exclusive printed 1x1 tile in that gray coloring with a black border continuing to the sticker there. So at least one of those parts is printed. Another part I really love with this side is that we get our first 1x4 cheese slope in this set. So there's 1x3 cheese slopes and 1x4 cheese slopes introduced in this very set. That's just a great part addition if you ask me. Anyways, on both of these sides, when you move towards the back, we have those flux bands appearing once again. So we have the 1x2 that is sloped, the corner tile one, the 1x2 tile one, and another corner tile, and then another sloped one at the top right there. That lovely printing is just continued throughout all of those pieces. Very high quality, so I really like that. There is an annoying aspect of these flux bands. You see, these are attached with one stud to one of these rocker pieces that's attached to a rocker bearing piece, you know, the ones you can move up and down. This gets a little bit of movement there. But since they're only attached with one stud, the corner one right here especially tends to fall off very easily if you move this around a bit. Yeah, I also don't like how easily that the rocker bearing will push forward and these will misalign. So you have to be kind of delicate with this section, which is present on both sides of the build. And on both sides, there's another piece that I thought was going to be an annoying sticker, but no, that's a print for this set, which is a 1x1 cheese slope in a translucent orange with a gray square printed in the middle there. That's awesome as well, and you get an extra one since that is such a small piece. Now, all of the equipment at the back is made up of some weird and sometimes not symmetrical designs, which are quite interesting. Like on this side right here, you have this unicorn horn piece with a clip that's in a nice sand green coloring. One of those short pole pieces. I like the use of that newer handlebar piece from the F1 series in a dark blue. And then we have, for the specific 1985/1955 version, this nuclear reactor, where really the only difference is that they use this piece right here, which is an obscure Lego dots piece for the first time in this yellow coloring. And that is a 1x1, which goes above this printed dish that looks lovely, and I believe that's an exclusive print to this set. As I previously mentioned, the 1955 version uses that fishing rod piece, which is for the lightning rod. And this is the tachyon pulse generator, which just uses a binocular piece on a 1x2 jumper plate. We'll look inside the car, but first I want to point out the windscreen, which is an exclusive print. This windscreen existed before, but getting all this printing hasn't appeared in any other set. The design of this is interesting because, well, the Lego Ideas DeLorean had a brick-built roof, and this one is all just one piece. In many ways, I think it works, even though it wasn't specifically made for the DeLorean. However, I don't like one thing about it, but that could also be pointed to just how they built this front right here. I don't like that this windscreen doesn't fit these little corners right here. So you always have those just kind of open there, which is not really noticeable at first, but when you take a closer look at the vehicle, it just comes out really awkward looking. Anyways, that's very easy to remove just by lifting up like that. And inside, you have enough space to fit 2 minifigures, which is awesome for Doc and Marty. And I like how they actually went through to make some cushioning for those seats. At the back here, we have an existing print for this dial right here. That's on a 1x1 tile. And then we have the Flux Capacitor, which once again uses a frame piece and a clear panel piece with some exclusive printing. This time there's no writing on there. The original set used a 1x2 panel, not the ones that you put the little windscreen piece inside. That one had a whole problem where they misspelt something, so I guess they're like, yeah, we're not going to put any writing this time around. Also, I like the detail of a translucent 1x1 green tile and translucent 1x1 red tile, which I guess would be like lights inside the vehicle next to the flux capacitor. And then a lattice silver little vent right there, which is one of those 1x2s. You can see another instance of that 1x1 piece used from Lego Dots, this time in its more common black coloring. Then at the front, we have the steering wheel. In the middle, we have the time calculator, which is a problem. I really wish they would have had that you could swap this out for the 2015, Back to the Future 2 time calculator, because we have that version as an alternate build in this set, but it's always stuck to going to 1985, which is not great. I don't know why they didn't give that option. I guess because this is a printed 1x2, which, yeah, this was another piece I thought would be a sticker, but you had so much customizability here. Why not just go for it, Lego? Especially since this is a piece that's very easy to remove relative to some of the other pieces in the set. You could just swap it out, But anyways, to the right, we have the plutonium chamber, which that in itself is a sticker, which is on a black double cheese slope. And since DeLoreans are manual, we have a gear stick, which is represented with a microphone piece attached to a hold stud. That works pretty well. Anyways, at the very back, we have the reactor cooling vents, which I really like the build for those. This is done better than what was already pretty good in the Lego Ideas version, where we have that newish 1x2 triangular piece right there. And that's attached onto a build that involves a plate, a specifically aligned 1x2 jumper, and then those triangular 1x2s that have like the vent designs. That works out really well if you ask me. We have the license plate, which again will be swapped out when you change it to the 2015 version. Here it's the printed 1x2 that says California out of time. Our second print for that particular piece on a 1x2, back with the idea set having it. And then we have a 1x8 tile, which has a sticker that says DeLorean on it. There's not too much else to show, but I do like how they have at the bottom right there more of those 1x4 cheese slopes. And this isn't the Lightning McQueen set, so there's not a detailed undercarriage. But hey, we do have this chassis piece right here, which has those holes. And of course, you could use the wrench piece that they include with this set to pop out details on the floor of the interior of the car. For the 2015 DeLorean, just going over those changes again very quickly. The wheels. Yeah, the wheels are actually a little bit difficult to fit into place when you're swapping between versions. Because yeah, you could put it on there, sure, but it's kind of a loose attachment since it's such a weird angle. So I would suggest using that wrench piece and kind of pushing it down on both of those sides to make sure that's secure. But even then, you can see it's sloped a bit. I had difficult switching between the versions, but there you go. I got it there. But yeah, those wheels look excellent in my opinion. Having them at the side, having this hovering, which a little downside is I wish we had maybe a clear stand to hold this. But then again, that middle chassis piece doesn't have any receiving studs, so that wouldn't be possible. They'd have to make like 2 clear stands front and back. Though the wheels are another part where the 2013 version is better, because the 2013 wheels had a mechanism where you could just push them down to have this be the hovering version of the DeLorean that goes to the future. This, you have to swap everything out, and I kind of wish they incorporated some type of mechanism, but I guess the shaping and sizing of this wouldn't allow that. The other difference is that the lightning rod is removed, and on the nuclear reactor we have the Mr. Fusion design, which is a new printed cylinder piece there that looks great. This one is a leg up over that 2013 version, which looked terrible for this specific part of the build. This time we have that cylinder. It works perfectly. And the last change is once again like the 2013 version, where we have a new print of that 1x2 future license plate, which still has silver going on in the middle there. And yeah, that looks great. Moving on from the build, we have two exclusive minifigures. Doc Brown gets an update with a new face print and torso print. This is based off his appearance from the first movie, which we saw with the Lego Cuso set, as well as the Lego Dimensions set. The last set gave us the Back to the Future 2 version of the character, which was that larger scale DeLorean. Here, the new face print actually looks really cool with a smile to it, but I think the face print I prefer is the alternate face, where you can see he has the bandage from the bump on his head that he gets in 1955. Again, the torso print's a slightly updated version of the original, which I think this looks better, and you have some back torso printing as well, which looks excellent. The Marty McFly minifigure, or should I say Calvin Klein minifigure, is amazing except for the face print. I don't know why Lego went back on the face print that they used back in 2013 and 2015, because that was perfect for Michael J. Fox. What we have here is a reuse of the Han Solo face print, which makes him look so much older than he looks in the movie. I don't know what they were thinking there, and it's crazy that they've used this twice, as this also appeared with that larger scale DeLorean set a couple years back. The most welcome update isn't even a new or exclusive piece. It's the puffer vest being used here in red, which we got with Cooper, the robot version, in Lego Dreams in this exact same color. But my gosh, that's absolutely perfect for Marty McFly. You can see how there's a stud at the back. This is the first time I'm ever getting this piece, so I'm very happy. And with that piece removed, which that just goes over the body, fitting around the neck, we have a design for a new torso print, which has the other jacket design underneath that vest part. And you can see the different layers of clothing he has on. So that's the first time we're getting that design, and that looks great. And you can also see that there's some back torso printing. That's just a great torso that you could use for different minifigures. It's not restricted to just the Back to the Future theming. And I'm not completely mad that we don't get any leg printing, but that 2022 version from the larger DeLorean actually had some really sweet leg printing, and it's kind of a shame that there's none with Marty here. The instructions have an adorable little insert that says from 1985 to 2026. That's cute, but they should have said, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious brick. So overall, I know so many people who collect licensed Lego things with minifigures. That's like a huge demographic of the Lego fan base for people my age. This is the ultimate one of those sets on the cheaper side. Rarely nowadays do we get sets under $30 with two pretty detailed minifigures in a very detailed, iconic car. The price per piece ratio on this is fantastic, where it's 357 pieces for $28. Like I said, I've been asking for years for Speed Champions to do this specific vehicle, and I think they did the vehicle justice. However, as somebody who really loves that vehicle and loves the Back to the Future movie, there are some discrepancies with the build. I really wish this did the gull wing doors. I think that's the big flaw of this vehicle interpretation, but it's something that carries out throughout other Speed Champion sets. Beyond that, I have a lot of nitpicks here and there with this design, but they're nothing too big to compare to just how well this is executed with a build that improves upon that 2013 version in most of its aspects. Sure, the 2013 version is better in some small ways, like that you have to swap out the wheels in this version is pretty annoying. Also, one thing I miss from the original Kuso set is that there's no way to modify this to its Back to the Future 3 version. But I do like that they still gave the option to have the 2015 version, you know, the one that travels to the future. I do have the problems with the Marty McFly minifigure where I'm like, what are you doing with that face print? But, you know, you would just have to buy the one from the 2013 set or the Dimensions sets. I do wish they had leg printing on that character. With all things considered, I would give this a very, very high, very strong 8 out of 10. It's already my favorite set of 2026. Then again, I do think the Lightning McQueen Speed Champion set is a perfect set. That's just not my favorite. I want to ask viewers, which one do you like better, the Lightning McQueen Speed Champions or the DeLorean Speed Champions, both of which are releasing January 1st for $28? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe here for more 2026 LEGO reviews, LEGO news, and honest LEGO takes. Even if LEGO sent me this for free, I will always tell you what I honestly think. You could check out my video review of that Lightning McQueen DeLorean set as well. I'll see you later. Peace out. Bye.